This hatch is a true showstopper, and unless you want your fly ignored like the quiet kid at a prom dance, you better make sure that you have this in your fly box. Hey everyone, David, Northwest Fly Fishing Outfitters, coming to you with another Fly Fishing Unfiltered, and I'm once again joined by
Colby.
And today we are talking about the King Kong versus Godzilla, the hatch of all hatches, the hatch within the hatch, the green drake. And Colby, this hatch is amazing, right?
It's the greatest 15 minutes you'll ever have.
The greatest 50. Some would say that about other things in life. So I want to tell our subscribers a little bit about this hatch, because it is a hatch that when it comes off, that is all the trout are focused on. So let's talk a little bit about the hatch. We're going to cover the weather patterns that we see this hatch typically come off. We're going to talk about the water that we're fishing with this hatch, and then we'll get into a few fly selections. So will you tell us a little bit, when we are out on a river, what are we looking for weather temperature wise and just overall weather in general?
Overall weather in general, I would say if you have a mild storm warning,
okay,
that's a pretty easy one. Think lightning, humid but cloudy.
Yep.
Kind of like a bluing olive day, but not as drizzly. Sometimes kind of drizzly, but still fairly warm. That to me gives me the arm hair tingles of a green drake, the possibility of a green drake day.
Excellent. And when that happens, sometimes we were talking off the screen, there will be also another sign that's not tied to the weather, but it is tied to the environment, of some birds that might show up on scene. So what is a dead giveaway that maybe there's some green drakes around?
Well, for one, swallows, but two, it's
Yeah.
the presence of seagulls, and it's very strange to be so inland and have seagulls busting around eating things.
Completely agree. The first time I ever saw this hatch, I was in the middle of the Deschutes Canyon, and a flock of seagulls, not the band, a flock of seagulls appeared out of nowhere in the canyon, and it was lights out, like you said, for 15 minutes.
Right.
Okay, so we understand the type of weather that we're looking for. Now let's talk about the type of water, because green drakes inhabit a very specific type of water. So what type of water can we be looking for green drakes? Where do we expect them to hatch? Go.
So I would expect to find green drakes at like the bottoms of long riffles, or anywhere where you see like boisterous, fast whitewater. Not quite like, I mean, I'm sure they do hatch in like Whitehorse, but like certain canyons of the Metolius or the Deschutes, they pop off like wildfire, and it's usually like right there. Some guys out there, like, we have green drake spots, and I can usually guess, all right, I want to be in this vicinity during this time because I like that one piece of water, and it's a long riffle.
With a transition to a slower seam, which is usually where
you can
emerge.
where you can pick them off.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, they pop out no matter what,
Right.
but I like to set up in certain spots where you can make a very easy cast and
Right.
have it float for a while.
Okay, and since we're on water, let's talk about rivers that we can expect to see the green drake. I'm going to start with the Deschutes River.
Cheers.
I know, I take the easy one. Most everyone talks about the Deschutes River because when the Salmonfly hatch is coming off and then the green drake show up, they will totally ignore those big juicy burgers for the, I guess, I don't know, the filet
chicken
mignon or
nuggets?
whatever you want to call it. So Deschutes gets again, when the weather hits just that right situation, Deschutes gets a good drake hatch. What other rivers would you say get a decent hatch that they should be aware of?
For green drakes, I'd expect them on the Metolius, probably until the middle of June, which is a great place for green drake hatch, especially if everyone's targeting salmonflies in one spot. I can go to the Metolius and have some fun there. Other ones to expect them on would be like the Mackenzie or the
Willamette.
Yep. And the Crooked or the Fall.
Yep.
Less so on the Crooked, but more so Fall.
And the Yakima gets a little bit, although it's a
Yak.
lesser known hatch and it's not as crazy as what we see on some of our streams. So Washington, we're not leaving you out. It is called the Western Green Drake for a reason. So
yeah, you'll find them in many spots. But I would say, as far as like a targeted, I'm going out for the green drake hatch this time of year, it would be for sure the Metolius.
Yep.
It's kind of more like on the clock. But on the Deschutes, it's a very intermittent hatch. It might happen, it might not, but I would say, like anyone walking into our shop, I advise them that they should have at least 4 to 6 flies. They don't need to have half a box. It's not that kind of hatch.
Nope.
It starts in a flurry and it's over in a flurry, and so you just need a couple bullets for the shootout, and that's really all they need.
It literally is like a 15-minute, 20-minute hatch tops, and so you got to be ready. You got to be ready for it. So as you see those clouds rolling in, you feel that. I mean, you can feel the humidity change, and when that happens, just be prepared. So since we're on the topic of flies, do we fish them as nymphs? Do we fish them as emergers? Obviously, we're going to fish them as dries. Are there other options outside of fishing? And we're going to put some of the flies that we recommend here as a shop. Do we fish them as emergers, first of all?
Yes. I think in certain places and times, you can definitely get them on an emergent pattern.
Okay.
I would say 90% of your work is going to be done on a dry.
Yeah.
Unless you're the type of angler who comes prepared with nymphs and is anticipating that hatch.
Yeah.
But generally, I'd say anglers are more reactive to that hatch. It's already started, and they are just queuing into it. And by then, the fish are smash and dries, and so
That's
dries
right.
are what you normally throw.
Normally throw, but you can nymph for these again if we're in that May to June, middle of June window, and you're kind of nothing's happening, and you're trying to dredge some fish up. If you're fishing that riffly water, the transition up to the slower seams, you can do a posse bugger, you can do a hares, or you don't have to get super crazy. But you can pick fish up nymphing along those seams, and then again, there are some emerger patterns. But I mean, this is summer, right? Like as a whole, most of us are like on dry fly or die when it's this time of year, because I've spent all winter long dredging the bottom with nymphs.
No, I'm good.
Yeah, so you catch fish your way, I guess, and my way this time of year is I'm going to be ready to go when they're popping.
Yeah, the dries are where it's at.
Yeah.
I think it's more of a smash and grab. It's really fun and exciting.
Yep.
I think I'm going to jump into flies, and I think really an angler only needs like 3 different types. Me personally, I don't think you need nymphs too much. I would worry more about the dries. Nymphs don't hurt, but I would want an emergent pattern, like a cripple or an emerging mayfly, and a dry. And I would do probably 2 different dries. I would do like something with a lot more foam to be fishing into that faster water, and then you can use maybe a bit more of a subtle deer hair pattern for some softer water. But predominantly, I like the carnage. I fish that fly all the time.
That's a great fly. Well, thank you so much, Colby. I always appreciate you. You're one of our bug experts here. Really appreciate that. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Fly Fishing Unfiltered. Make sure you tune in because we are going to be covering caddisflies. Once this salmonfly craze is over and the drake craze is over, there is life after those hatches, and that hatch is the caddis hatch, and it gets a little crazy on the Deschutes. I was over there just on Monday, and the caddis clouds above the trees were already in full bloom, and as you know, they get super picky on those caddises. Got to be the right color and the right size. So we're going to do another video on caddisflies, so make sure that you hit that subscribe button for that and all of our future content coming out. We really appreciate you tuning in to another Fly Fishing Unfiltered, and we'll see you next time.